This might actually be the first ever SHOTZZY point of view that I've had on my channel, but if it is, this is a great one to do it on because he absolutely goes off, drops almost a 60 bomb. He drops 59, but he has like 7,000 damage, 7,500 damage. I mean, the dude gets in so many interactions, and there's actually 3 people. I know CRIMSIX is on his team also, Crim and SHOTZZY, and there's one other person. I don't know if it was Looney or Slasher. I think it was Slasher. So we have Slasher, Looney, SHOTZZY, and Crim. And Slasher, SHOTZZY, and Crim all drop 50 bombs, high 50 bombs. We're talking like 59, 56s with over 7,000 damage. Now, that's probably going to happen quite a bit throughout this season on this map, Crossroads more specifically, just because it's so small and there's so many interactions and there's just more opportunities for that to happen. But as we go throughout this, a nice little stick right there. But as we go throughout this, I just wanted you guys to get a different point of view, because I know we spend a lot of time breaking down matches from optic point of views. When it comes to that, we do watch those because they are really the only team that streams their actual scrims. So we could do stuff like this all the time where we're breaking down different point of views in Pro 8s. Like I know Accuracy was streaming earlier and Attach was streaming earlier. I mean, there's a ton of people that stream 8s, but for the most part, I'm more interested to see how teams are doing against one another. Like, how is Optic doing against LA Thieves? How are they doing against Atlanta and Dallas, right? I like to get the pulse of where teams are at in the league overall. So that's normally why we break down just typical team versus team type scrims. But if you guys enjoy stuff like this and you want to see more of these, let me know and I'll definitely do it. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more stuff like this, because I will say I totally agree. It might be a little bit more refreshing being able to... Nice trigger discipline right there out of SHOTZZY. You can see that he flanked all the way bottom ice. He's really just setting up for spawns as it goes to P3 and P4. That's a great play out of him. He's so sneaky. Think about this. He's been sneaking for the last, like, he drops a 60 bomb, and he's been just simply sneaking around for the last, like, 60 seconds. Nice two-piece out of them. And he waited to engage in those gun battles until his teammates were on the top side of P3 right there. Interesting that the spawns didn't actually... Okay, so maybe they did. These back spawns, when it comes to P3 and P4, can be so temperamental. Like, it's tough to... It's like when there's people inside this P3 hardpoint, if there are people dying and your teammates aren't back behind, just kind of sitting on top of that spawn location, then sometimes that spawn location can be a little bit temperamental. But it looks like for now, they've been able to lock down these back spawns, and as it goes over towards P4, I would expect that they're probably going to build out their lead a little bit, because P4 has completely changed. It is super easy now, essentially, as long as you cut down that right there. So those people entering from ice, the bottom side of the map. Ooh, and he just spawned out. So if you're inside of P4, it's pretty easy to have somebody watch towards the top side of the map. That's a pretty open lane, so you can just have a main AR watching that push from the top side of the map. And from there, it's pretty easy to lock down. The thing that's not that easy to lock down is the bottom side. So you see SHOTZZY over and over again trying to come up here by old P4. And this is one where there's so many ways to jump up over there down towards bottom ice that sometimes it's just difficult to keep each of those routes in check. But at the end of the first set of rotations here, we have basically a tie ball game, and it's been pretty back and forth the entire time. And that's something that you'll see a lot more when it comes to Pro 8s. Like if you're doing pro scrims, everybody's pretty familiar with their role and where their teammates are going to be and how you're playing the map and stuff like that. When it comes to Pro 8s, a lot of times it's just like calling out where people are at and just trying to gain rotations. I know you might be saying, well, that's what they're doing anyways. But I don't know. It's just a little bit more frantic, a little bit more hectic when you're watching Pro 8s. So in this, you'll notice that like I haven't brought up the mini map at all. Big reason for that is because there's not really like a ton of strats going down. It's just basically playing just to get more gun battles and get a little bit more practice with, you know, rotating and the guns and stuff like that. But with that, this is a 4v4 on Crossroads, and since it's not an actual scrim, I do actually want you guys to be able to listen in to exactly what SHOTZZY say, because we don't get to hear him very often. And I think you might be, if you haven't watched him scrim or anything like that, you might be a little bit surprised by his tone just when he's calling out and his communication style and stuff like that. So with that, I'm still going to pop in and, of course, comment on the major things that happen as we go throughout the second set of rotations here. But I'm going to turn up the volume. I'm going to let you guys listen in, and I'll check back with you the next time something super major happens in terms of kills or rotations.
He went deep left. He went deep left. Nice.
Fuck, they're just here.
Yeah,
Did I stutter? Yo, right corner, bottom hill.
Because they're not in the back.
P1, one's P1, Austin. He's gonna peek that door.
Get attached.
Yeah, P1 dead.
Back right, Vivid, one shot behind you.
I'm in the back left too. I'll get this guy. I'll get the
In the back, then you one shot.
Dead.
That's good time. Munching hop.
Look at my P1. Yeah, I'm looking at P1. Deep right, two of them.
I needed your
I got them both.
One more, unless they flashed you.
He flashed me.
Okay.
I'm going back hop.
Oh, back right.
The thing with SHOTZZY that I don't know if you're noticing or picking up on or not, but one, he has some of the best movement in the game, right? There's like him and Celium and Abizi and Envoy, but for him specifically, his movement is so good. But the other thing is that, of course, his actual gun skill is top notch. You hardly see him ever really miss his shots, but there's so many different things that he does well. And the last thing is that his instincts are so good. Like when he was watching top bridge up there, you saw him slide in front of top bridge and just ADS and start shooting before he even really knew that anybody was there. And that's kind of, those three things mixed together are really what separates him from a lot of people. He has great instincts, he has great movement, and he has great gun skill. And that's why he won MVP last year. Let's go ahead, let's listen back in.
Nice shit.
Attached weak. On the steps. He's on cube.
Wow, one shot. One shot cube. I have streaks to this new.
Yeah, fuck.
Oh,
What's already new?
bunker.
They're spawning back left.
In time,
Big
and
rock.
they're already in you. Yeah, I'm gonna go left here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a long route.
Yeah, I'm done.
Actually, I'm gonna go.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll
He
streak.
peeked me.
I'm one shot.
On you,
I don't
Ken.
know what you call it. I think it's Dylan.
They don't know. They're two. One more.
Another one, Vivid, yeah.
Fuck. I'm gonna wait for you guys. I can streak in a second. Oh, fuck.
I got Zinni.
I'm popping it, dude.
I'm getting fire. Yeah, I'm getting fire.
Damn it.
They give me in front
David,
of you.
back right.
I have fire.
One's on the hill right now.
Top cat.
Yeah, he came in
Job.
bunker.
Okay,
One more in bunker.
Push out. Wait.
Spawn back here.
Alright.
I'll kill you, cat.
Aw, man.
I have
Two
your
left.
cat,
Too deep left.
Was that your flash?
Yeah.
Deep left.
The
Deep
two on
left on me.
P1, the no more.
I need a big door.
Wait, who's ever in hill? Stare at the back.
Oh,
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 shit.
fuck, my bad.
You
One
want
big door.
Vivid? I'm kidding, actually.
I'm playing it off angle. They all spawn on me. Yeah, they all spawn on me.
Yeah, they
Fuck.
spawn. Yeah. I trolled that.
There's two back there.
Backside time.
I'll get a trophy in you.
No, damn it. Fire now. Fire going
You
mid.
can come up
You
middle.
go mid alley and then big door.
Mid. Mid alley.
The one thing, I don't know if you guys are picking up on it or not, but one of the things when it comes to SHOTZZY is that there's not a lot, he doesn't communicate a ton of strategy. And I don't know if it's just because he's playing 8 or if he's just focused and cracked in or what. I actually didn't even know you can make that jump. But I don't know what it is, but he's not saying like, make sure we rotate, or it's just basically just calling out where people are and where he dies from. Whereas you hear Crim really calling out like strats and where they need to go and where people are coming and when to rotate. You also hear the same thing. Looney is very vocal in this lobby, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I'm excited to see Looney's stats throughout this season, but you don't really hear a lot of that out of SHOTZZY. He's great in terms of all those things we mentioned earlier, but when it comes to communication, maybe he lacks just a little bit.
I got Kenny.
Still on me, cat.
Oh, Zinni one shot. They literally just spawned right underneath me.
Yeah, they're all
on
in
sandbags. Holy shit.
Trying to get the
Got
sun
one.
on
Top sandbags.
Yeah, I'm
Ken,
gonna
one
try to get
shot.
the cat.
Zinni's on the truck and one's on the sandbags.
Yeah, sandbags was weak.
No, what's P1
Got
box
one.
or ice boxes?
Oh, he's invis spot. Fuck.
Wow. One shot.
You try to get the
He's
box.
top comms. He's not boxes. He just made the jump.
Good shot.
He's at top comms.
Man, I'm watching over you. Go.
No, he's there weak. He's
Oh,
right
he's
side.
right.
He might jump out the window.
One's
He's
mid.
dead.
Let's
I
go.
got
Let's
two
do
top
it.
comms.
Spawn left to me,
top.
bros. He was
Yeah,
barrels
another
on me.
one
Top dead, top dead.
Last side was hill. They could spawn in the back one more time though.
I hear him bottom
I
green
think he did. He
crate.
just threw a nade on you.
In the back.
I got Dylan. I got both
Look
top
at my
green
low
crates.
garage. I'm
Top
my
green
low garage.
crates. 1 minute garage.
Low garage,
Low
absolute.
garage dead.
Well, Zinni's in the
Nice.
back still.
Wait.
Zinni's in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double D's, I call it.
I'm literally
Spawned
ignoring
out,
him.
spawned out.
No, I just whipped so fucking
Yeah,
hard.
clear life, man.
Yeah, he's still in the back. Zinni's still in the back.
Yeah, I think he went to calm splash on you.
Oh, he's on me. Top.
No, damn it. Yep, he's cat.
I'm coming
He's
back
above
though.
you,
Spawned in the
cat.
back. He's in the back door. He just ran in. It's a good time. It's
Is
a
any
good time.
weak? Nice.
The other thing, just to point out here real quick, is that when it comes to SHOTZZY's communication style and how he's not overly super vocal, last year in 5v5, especially with the team makeup that they had with Crim and Clay, a ton of the shots were being called by those two, right? Veterans in the game. Obviously, they've been in every situation you could possibly be in. So a lot of the communication, a lot of the calls were being made by Clay and Crim and probably Huke too, whereas the rookies Illy and SHOTZZY were probably just, of course, I mean, they're calling out, but probably a lot like what you're seeing right here. Now, in 5v5, that's not going to hurt them too much because there's only so many different things that you could really talk about, right? So there's really only so much room for people to communicate, whereas in 4v4, it might hurt them a little bit more. Of course, Crim is still there, but if we really only have one person that's vocal and calling things out and talking about strategies and stuff like that, it might hurt them a little bit. But let's just let's tune back in and see how this thing finishes up.
You just keep speaking.
He's laying down backside.
Top cat, one shot.
Yeah,
In the back, I'm being known in the back.
In the back, deep in the back. Fucking top cat again.
I'm being known.
Damn.
I'm in the back.
Alright, I'm waiting
Top cat,
this one. I'm
one
waiting this
shot.
one.
Top cat, one shot.
I'm trying to be known in the back. Oh,
Dead,
there.
dead.
I'm trying to hold. I'm trying to play
You
my
might
in the
have
back.
fucking
Push
streaks.
you in the back. Push in the back, Kenny, right behind you.
Yeah, I got him.
One more.
Jeez.
We can know. We can know.
Play for me.
I got Dylan dead.
I spawned back here.
Nice to
Stay
check.
down,
Stay down,
Austin.
stay
Stay
down.
down. One shot, cube. There's
Nice,
one
good
on
job.
me.
And I don't want you guys, real quick, I don't want you to overlook the plays both on the first set of rotations and this set of rotations that SHOTZZY pushed bottom ice. He got to old P4. We saw him basically just have trigger discipline the first time, and now he's just absolutely going off, right? He's just streaking, and he's the reason they were able to get this time inside of P4, both that first set of rotations and the current set of rotations. So not only that, but he also has streaks to try to end the game. So let's listen in and hear how it closes out here.
We don't win off.
We don't win him. We don't win.
Kenny, one shot.
Yo, I have artillery.
He's still bunker. I think.
I want
I
to
got
pop it
Kenny.
soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
you should.
Empire.
Can you kill him?
Artillery.
Oh,
I streaked out. Watch out.
He's gonna
Don't
push.
die.
He's gonna push.
Hit it. Go.
One, I'm going ice.
They're shut all dead.
Barrels maybe on you.
And there you go. So you had streaks that got 2. He was able to get the last one on attach, and right there he goes 59 and 27. Slasher was 58 and 33, and Crim was, I don't know if they'll bring it up, but I think Crim was 53. Looney dropped 47. So man, that is just a wild lobby right there. As Slasher had 7,300 damage, SHOTZZY had 7,000 damage, Crim basically had 7,400 damage. I think you're going to see a lot more numbers like that as the season goes on, especially on a map like this. But dropping nearly a 60 bomb in 4v4, that is just wild. So with that, guys, if you're new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, this is what I do every single day. I take scrim footage like this, I break it down, I upload it. If that's your thing, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a like as it helps out the channel. And with that, thank you guys so much. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.